Hey guys, good morning. It is 10:40. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. We are going live on Facebook, I believe, and on the stream on brproud.com. I just clicked the go live. Jasmine, if you can give me a heads up so I know if we are live. And you can type below, ask any questions that you may have, and I will try and answer it. So I just got the thumbs up from meteorologist Jasmine Lomax, so we will get started. Okay, so starting with Tropical Storm Sally, a lot of questions with this one. So looking at the tropical satellite over the last 6 hours or so, watch the progression of Sally. It gets larger. It is becoming more defined, it is strengthening, even though the winds are around 65 miles per hour. The hurricane hunters found the center. You see it kind of moving back. It looks like moving back toward the east, but that is where the center is currently located. It's 140 miles east-southeast of the mouth of the Mississippi River, moving to the west-northwest at 6 miles per hour. So it is slowing down, still making that west-northwest turn. As of the latest advisory, it has shifted to the east once again. And if you followed along with us on WVLA, NBC Local 33 and Fox 44 this morning, I was talking all morning about if we have a stronger storm, it's probably going to turn to the north a little sooner, most likely going to take more of an easterly track. If it's weaker, and it may move more to the west and take that turn a little later. As of the 10 a.m. advisory and the 10 a.m. track, it's forecast to strengthen into a hurricane as we head through maybe later today into the evening, and then taking aim toward perhaps the mouth of the Mississippi River. And then that would mean it would be a strong Cat 1 hurricane. Can't completely rule out a Cat 2 hurricane. There you have it, 90-mile-per-hour winds this evening. It could clip the mouth of the Mississippi River before taking that north turn and staying to the east of the New Orleans metro. But again, the cone of uncertainty still includes the New Orleans metro. But as of now, it looks like it may clip the mouth of the Mississippi River or temporarily make landfall and then head toward the Mississippi Gulf Coast before bending back to the north-northeast. And landfall may not even happen until late Tuesday night and into early Wednesday. So it is going to move very, very slowly. So what does this mean? If it takes this exact track and perhaps makes landfall near Biloxi and then just the Mississippi Gulf Coast, that increases the risk for Southwest Alabama. Going live on my page, I still have a lot of following from Southwest Alabama and Northwest Florida. I worked in Pensacola before Baton Rouge, so I will focus a little on that as well. This does increase the risk for the Florida Panhandle as well. And eventually it's going to continue to accelerate to the northeast and then eventually move to the east, possibly moving back into the Atlantic. The hurricane hunters, they are en route, they are flying, and they are still getting some new data, and it looks as though they may have found some 70-mile-per-hour winds. So we could have an update from the National Hurricane Center, but that does tell us it is strengthening as expected. The spaghetti models have been in agreement, actually, showing perhaps a landfall near the mouth of the river or just staying to the east of that, maybe making landfall a little closer to more so the southwestern portion of Mississippi, and that would be just to the west of Biloxi. So that is a good possibility. Also perhaps closer to Pascagoula or even closer to Mobile County in southwest Alabama. So again, the more of a deviation to the east, if it moves more to the east, Baton Rouge is not going to see much in the way of impacts. It's going to be breezy, and we could get some outer rain bands today, but our impacts would be very, very minimal. Now, if it wobbles more to the west, then our impacts would increase. So here's a look at the satellite and radar this morning, and you can see right now, here's the center right here. You can kind of see it, and then some thunderstorm activity starting to wrap around on the western side, which tells us, again, it is likely strengthening, whereas this morning, it still is, it's pretty heavy on the right side. You see all of the heavy rain, all of the convection, the thunderstorm activity is really, really focused on the east side. It's been pretty lopsided, but I do think it's going to get its act together, and it should wrap around more. As for potential rainfall totals, This is all going to be dependent where it makes landfall. So yesterday, these high numbers, these high rainfall totals were closer to the New Orleans metro. This is as of the 4 a.m. track. I do think the Weather Prediction Center may even push some of those higher totals a little more to the east, and so that would mean Baton Rouge may only get less than an inch of rain, widespread, that's speaking. Of course, if we get some of these rain bands, you could double those amounts. We get double those amounts on just a normal summer day with some of these thunderstorms. But the highest rainfall totals, again, going to be dependent on its track. The highest totals will be near and east of the center, especially if it stays pretty lopsided and stays pretty heavy on the right side. We're talking over 20 inches of rain. Some models were showing 25, maybe 30 inches of rain because of how slow it's going to move. Never anything you want to see. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it's just going to be a Cat 1, oh, just going to be a Cat 2. That doesn't matter. Going back to Hurricane Florence, we remember that a few years ago. It was a Cat 1, still brought catastrophic damage to portions of the Carolinas, as you recall. So this is significant rainfall amounts. And not just rainfall, storm surge is going to be a very, very major impact. Here's some of the models. The European model is going to run again this afternoon, but just showing, again, the rainfall gradient going to be pretty significant. So don't be surprised if you live in Point Coupee Parish or even just closer to the Atchafalaya Basin. You get nothing. Even here in the Baton Rouge Metro, again, around maybe 1 inch. This is what the European model is showing, with the highest rainfall totals staying in the far eastern portions of Louisiana, including St. Tammany Parish, and then closer to the Mississippi Gulf Coast as well, and then into the Florida Panhandle. The latest run of the GFS model is also on board with that, but showing significantly less rainfall totals in Baton Rouge, saying almost not even half of an inch. That is a good possibility. That is something that, again, we're going to have to watch very carefully to see where some of these rain bands set up. Along I-55, it's showing not even 2 inches, and then going closer toward the Florida Panhandle, and then South Mississippi, Southwest Alabama would likely see the greatest rainfall amounts. So again, we'll update you with what the Weather Prediction Center says, but they were showing just that as well, basically that tight gradient. Flash flood watch is pretty much in effect all the way from Iberville Parish all the way across the Gulf Coast. I'll zoom out, showing you all the way into portions of north central Alabama, and then closer toward the entire Florida Panhandle. As for, I mentioned storm surge, this is also going to be a significant factor, significant impact with Sally. 4 to 6 feet of storm surge still expected for Lake Maurepas and Lake Pontchartrain. Where you have this green color, that is a coastal flood advisory. That includes the Florida Panhandle, 1 to 3 feet. This includes Pensacola Bay and Santa Rosa Sound, showing 1 to 3 feet of inundation. Mobile Bay around 4 to 6, and then that includes Southwest Alabama, and then 5 to 8 there. The most significant storm surge is going to be from the mouth of the river pretty much all the way to South Mississippi, just near Biloxi, I believe, and then that's 7 to 11 feet, and that includes Lake Bourne as well. As for the current watches, or warnings, I should say, the warnings that we have in place, tropical storm warning still in effect for East Baton Rouge Parish. This is to account for perhaps if we get a tropical storm force wind gust, if it does take more of a westerly track, but a new hurricane warning has been expanded or extended to include areas of Baldwin County in Alabama, and then Mobile County as well, including the Mobile Bay, and then just off the coast of Pensacola, seeing a hurricane warning in effect. Here's some of the European wind gusts These are potential wind gusts that we could see, showing around 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts tomorrow evening here in Baton Rouge. And then the farther east you go, the stronger the wind gusts will likely be, and closer to the coast. This is showing Wednesday morning, and by Wednesday morning, Sally may be up here, still showing some higher wind gusts in excess of 30. So I am not discounting that we won't get a few tropical storm force wind gusts. I do think that is a good possibility. The closer you are to the east and closer to the coast, you'll have that better potential. The GFS is showing just that as well. Winds picking up. It's breezy outside already. Could see some wind gusts in excess of 30 overnight. And then tomorrow, this is Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So keep an eye on the timestamp at the top. I just pointed it out for you. Showing some wind gusts in excess of 50, 60. That's more so closer to Slidell, St. Tammany Parish, and then near the lakes. And then you can see it's picking up on where the potential of the center would move ashore. And then as it lifts away, our winds would subside and things would begin to quiet on down. As for, this is the RPM model, or in-house model, showing, this is just a simulation of showing our rain coverage. If it takes this track that it's indicating, which it is pointing toward a Mississippi, Alabama landfall, if that's the case, we will still see some rain bands perhaps later this afternoon and this evening, and those could produce some heavy rain and some gusty wind in excess of 30 miles per hour. So don't be caught off guard if that moves in a little later today. We'll see if it materializes. And this is around Tuesday morning. Again, this is just one model run showing the brunt of it. It's showing the center right here, just pretty much almost due south of Biloxi, and then it wobbles a little bit, especially if the steering currents completely collapse. We'll have a wobbler, that's for sure, or potentially one that nearly stalls out. Let's hope it's not that. Hopefully it still holds its forward motion. But this is Tuesday afternoon, again showing the brunt of it in southwest Alabama and Pensacola, northwest Florida as well. And this is Tuesday night. So again, this is going to be a prolonged event. And not just that, there is going to be, I do see some of your questions coming in. I'll get to them in a minute. Thank you guys for joining. If you have questions, again, just type below. So if it takes that track, then Alabama, Mississippi, Northwest Florida will get the brunt. Potential impacts here in the Baton Rouge metro. So again, I likely have some viewers from Florida and Alabama also watching, and Mississippi. So I will try and get to everyone. But potential impacts here in the Baton Rouge metro, may only see 2 inches or less, and I was being pretty generous with some of the rainfall estimates. Again, it's all dependent on where it moves ashore, and we could see some locally higher amounts in rain bands south and east of the Baton Rouge metro, and I'm saying in our viewing area. That doesn't include New Orleans. This doesn't include St. Tammany Parish, Washington Parish, and such. 2 to 4, maybe some higher than that. That's more so concentrated I-55 corridor. As for winds, sustained maybe 15 to 25, gusts higher than that. Again, you could get some higher gusts in some of these rain bands. The coast and the I-55 corridor, I think there will be a better probability to see some of these tropical storm force winds, and then strongest winds will be near and east of the center. Being on the west side of this, our environment for tornadoes is low. Of course, you have to watch in some of these rain bands for some spin-up tornadoes, but the best threat for that with some of these outer rain bands will be for Mississippi, Alabama, and into the Florida Panhandle, and extreme southeastern Louisiana. We'll have to watch for those as well. Right now, we have winds out of the north-northeast, 10 to 15 miles per hour, with gusts only around 20. The latest product from the National Hurricane Center, this is the most likely time of arrival of tropical storm force winds. And then the color you see, that is the chance of seeing some tropical storm force winds. That has been downgraded from around 50% to around 40% for the Baton Rouge metro. You're seeing those richer colors, of warmer colors, sticking out from far extreme portions of Louisiana, southeastern portions, all the way to Baldwin County, and then even into portions of northwest Florida. The red colors, that's closer to 80 to 90%. That includes the south and north shore of Louisiana. So the most likely time of arrival for those, should we see any tropical storm force wind gust, would likely be during the day on Tuesday. Here's a look outside right now. Let's check it out. We are seeing some of the clouds just kind of wrapping around, some of the outer cloud cover just moving across the area, and it feels nice overall. Yes, it's hot, 81 degrees, feels like 85, so overall still looking good. Here's a look at our HRRR model. This comes out every few hours. This is the 36-hour one, so it doesn't come out as frequently, but this is just showing again some of those outer rain bands possibly moving across our area later this afternoon, this evening. Again, these could produce heavy rain, several inches of rain in a short amount of time, and then some gusty winds. So we'll be watching for that, and the HRRR model also has Sally staying to our west. I'm going to get to what else is going on in the tropics, because we only have one name left on the list of the 2020 season, and we're watching yet another wave that will emerge off of Africa in the coming days. That has a medium chance for formation, could become Wilfred in the coming days. We have Teddy, we have Vicky, and then we'll go on the other side of the Atlantic. We have Paulette, that's a Cat 2 hurricane, and then Renee. And then there's Sally, you see in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico, and there's that one wave that is bringing South Texas and portions of Mexico some wet weather this morning. Let me get to the tracks of some of these storms. Teddy is forecast to become a major hurricane, may stay out to sea, could impact Bermuda down the road. Vicky is not going to be very long-lived. It may just completely dissipate in the Atlantic, but if it were to regenerate or anything like that, we would have plenty of time to watch. Now, that one wave that is emerging off of Africa, that will be one that we'll have to watch down the road any time of year when you get these waves that want to move from east to west toward the Lesser Antilles. Definitely poses watching. So again, we will continue to monitor that and keep you posted. If you are just joining us, here I'll show you the track once again. This is the latest track as of 10 a.m. The National Hurricane Center, they issue tracks at 4 o'clock, that's a.m. and p.m., and then 10 o'clock a.m. and p.m., and then intermediate advisories at 1 and 7 o'clock, again, a.m. and p.m. So likely going to have an update from them, perhaps just its pressure, its movement, its location, all those coordinates, or if it has intensified, maybe it reaches hurricane status. They will also update us, but they won't issue a new track unless something dramatically changes. And then, again, this to walk you through time, forecast to become a hurricane later today, and then move toward potentially the mouth of the Mississippi River. And the question is, when does it make that turn? Again, if you have a stronger storm, likely going to take that northerly turn sooner rather than later. If you have a weaker storm, may move a little more to the west and then possibly move it on the western side of this cone. So southeast Louisiana, you're not out of the clear by any means just yet. This current track, if it takes this exact track, hypothetically speaking, then the risk in southeast Louisiana would be significantly less, but still significant nonetheless. You'd still feel impacts, but they just won't be as great as they will be for the Mississippi Gulf Coast, for the southern Alabama, Gulf Coast, southwest Alabama, and then the Florida Panhandle. If you have friends, family that live in South Mississippi, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Alabama Gulf Coast, and northwest Florida, and southeast Louisiana, north and south shore, check on them. Tell them what's going on. Maybe they're not paying attention to what's going on. And just tell them that this is going to be a very slow-moving system, likely going to produce very heavy rainfall, flooding, in fact, and then some deadly storm surge. That will be the main threats, and some strong winds. But the main threats with this, where it does ultimately track, will be flooding rains and then storm surge because of how slowly it is going to move. I'll keep this up. Do we have any questions? I'm going to try and comb through some of them. Okay, Brandy is asking, is Ascension Parish going, oops, it says this live video has ended. I guess I talked way too long. I will go through and answer some of your questions. If we're still on the stream, if you have any questions, follow me or Jasmine on Facebook, Twitter. You can ask us there, and we'll have an update on the website. Everything I've said, just pretty much just summarized, will be on our website, brproud.com. Just go to the Tracking the Tropics tab on the front page, and then you can find the latest there. We're going to keep it updated for you. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, myself, Jasmine, or Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel. So we're going to wrap things up, especially if I got kicked off the stream on Facebook. I apologize for talking your head off. But that wraps it up. We'll have another update from the National Hurricane Center again at 1, and then a new track at 4 p.m. So everyone stay weather aware, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.